Hello, I'm Violet and I'm going to present you Legends of Norse Mythology. Norse mythology is something that is not so known in this part of the world, but I can tell you that is as interesting as the Greek mythology or the Roman mythology. It's also really big, so in this video I'm just going to tell you like the top stories and the most important god and goddesses, so you get the idea more or less of the basis of this mythology. So, top stories to understand a little bit more of the context. First one, they thought they lived in a giant tree called Yggdrasil. A word that I should say it's difficult to pronounce, okay? Well, they also thought that the universe was made up of 9 different worlds in which different creatures lived, and each of these worlds was in a different branch of the tree. For example, we have Midgard, the one in which humans live, Vanaheim, a family of gods live there, then Asgard, the one in which a Aesir family of gods live, and also Jotunheim, Helheim, and well more, with also different creatures as the ones I already said, and for example dwarves or giants. Okay, and crazy fact about it. In the upper part of the tree Yggdrasil lives an eagle, and in the lower part, of course, really big, okay, a dragon. And between them, acting as a messenger, is a crazy squirrel called Ratatosk. So yes, a really crazy fact. Second top story. Well, what did they thought happened when they died? Well, it depends. If they just died as normal people do, that is just because you are too old or because you are sick, you went to Helheim, where was governed by a creature that, well, middle of her body was just normal, like a living being, and the other middle like a corpse. So yeah, a little bit frightening. And well, if you died in battle, you will go to the Valhalla or with Freya. And these two things are way better than Helheim, and that was the reason why they wanted to die in battle, because it was like a big proud for them, because it was supposed that they were going to just be waiting for the Ragnarok. And what's the Ragnarok? Top study 3. Well, before telling you about the Ragnarok, I have to say something really important. These god and goddesses aren't immortal, they can't die. So, and they have their goods and their bad things. So, for this to have sense, Ragnarok was like the point in which the world was going to end. And they knew how was the end of the world going to start. And they knew who of the important people, I mean gods and goddesses, was going to live and which ones were going to die. Terrible. They knew who were they going to kill, how were they going to die, everything. For example, we know that Freya lives. We know that Thor, that you probably know him, was going to die, but that 2 of his kids were going to live. And basically, after the Ragnarok, most of the monsters and creatures were going to die, where it will be like a quieter and calmer world. Although as some gods were still alive and some monsters were also still there was like also a bit of war, but not as much as there was as that period of time. So now, most important gods and goddesses. In the top of them all is Odin. Odin is like the father of all the gods and goddesses, because he, together with his 2 brothers, helped creating the world with the body of the first living being in exist, that they killed him. Stories that we might tell in another day. He also thought that the most valuable thing was knowledge, and for that reason he lost one of his eyes just to know the secrets of the universe and the runes. He also had a very wise god who was Mimir advising him, and well, he also had a wise, that is the most powerful goddess, that was Frigg. Then we have Freyr. Freyr was one of the gods like of the spring, fertility in general, together with her sister, that is also really important, Freya, that is also the gods of the love. These two gods and goddesses that are also, like I said, really important, were the children of Nihort, that was the god of the sea. And other two of the most important gods were Baldur, that was like the god of being a good guy. He was the most praising one. He was the best. And Loki, that is the other one we have to talk about, wasn't so happy about it, so he killed the poor Baldur. Another story that might be told in another time. Well, Loki was a god that, as he was son of a giant and a goddess, they didn't know who he was part of, and he just liked to annoy the other gods. So just for his fault and the fault of his kids, Ragnarok happened. And this is really sad because during a big period of time he was like the best friend of Thor, and they lived a lot of adventures together. So I hope you liked the video, and I encourage you to investigate a little more about Norse mythology, because there are beautiful stories like the one of how poetry was made, but also amazing ones and fun ones like the one in which a giant steals the hammer of Thor, that is really famous. It's